Hi, I'm Nate Spencer.
And I'm Danish Rashmeister, and you're watching Rash Course History.
What are we learning about today?
Russia, during the Middle Ages.
Let's talk about that.
So first off, let's get a basic background of how Russia became, well, Russia.
Well, I did some research about this. So before Russia was officially a country, there was a city-state of Kiev, the current capital of Ukraine. Who exactly founded Kiev is up for debate. Some people say that the Slavs moved in from the Black Sea, while others say that the true settlers were Vikings. The problem is, however, that the Russian language sounds a lot more Slavic than Swedish. Whoever it was, they had a simple organized government and were split into clans. This group of people were called the Varangians. Russia itself dates their origin to 862, when the Varangian tribe called Rus, led by Rurik, began his rule. Basically, during this rule, he expanded all the boundaries and was in control of Kiev, and that's how Russia got its name. The Varangian society was based around agriculture and, well, selling and owning slaves. Perhaps this is why they are called the Slavs. No, just me, I guess. We will have to see how this very controlling type of society holds up.
Anyway, so at about this time in Russian history, Christianity became a major influence for the early rulers.
Early great princes of Kiev made the decision to convert into being Byzantine Christian instead of Islam. Specifically, Prince Vladimir was the first one to accept Christianity, apparently because of the strict prohibition of the Islamic religion, vodka.
After a while of nomadic fighting, the reign of the Mongols was now becoming a factor for the Rus, and they were a pretty easy target.
So now the Mongols, or the Golden Horde, had a firm grip controlling all of Kiev and the Rus as a whole. This era became known as the Appanage era. This basically was the smaller rulers of Russia fighting over land, and yeah, that didn't go so well ever in Russian history. And now, the item of the day. Vodka!
Oh, how ironic! Although the Golden Horde has set up in Russia, it didn't have that big an impact on their culture or the way things worked. However, the ruling power of the Golden Horde was in the south, driving all the people to the north and away from Kiev. However, the Mongols weren't very harsh to them, and they were content to sit back and let them pay heavy taxes for their freedom. They did kind of split them off from everybody, so they started developing their own culture instead of growing off on others. They set Russia up to finally become the way it is today.
So how exactly did they do this?
Well, they left the princes in charge of what is present-day Moscow, let them become grand princes, and let them be in charge of gathering all the taxes from all the other princes, which made it super easy for them to take some of the money and blame it on everybody else paying taxes. So, this made Moscow incredibly wealthy. They also expanded their own rule, and even expanded their teachings and principles.
Meanwhile, the Golden Horde was off killing all the rest of the potential enemies of Russia, doing them a huge favor. Moscow was located in a prime spot for all trade in the area, and not being at war with the Mongols meant that they weren't getting attacked, so it was a relatively safe place to hide.
So as Russia was slowly growing in Moscow, it finally came to the point where the Mongols were vulnerable, and Moscow struck and won one of their first battles against the Mongols in a long time.
So now comes the real reason that Russia is so big and powerful today, which was Ivan III, or Ivan the Great. He started this out by declaring war on the Mongols and by stopping the payment of tributes to them. He also conquered a lot of nearby land, and this expanded the empire a lot.
He basically took control over all Russia, whether or not they wanted it, but he did marry the niece of the current Byzantine ruler, giving him even more power and a reason for people to follow him. So, basically, he was the first ruler to be in charge of all Russia under one central government.
But having this, the Tsar has all power type of government, led to Russia being characterized as having a person as a brutal absolute ruler from pretty much then on. Which of course started with the next Tsar, or Ivan IV, also Ivan the Terrible, which began when Ivan turned 16 and he was put in charge.
This pretty much marks the end of the prince's ruling, and starts the communistic regime in Russia. Starting out, he looked like he would really be a good ruler, or At least not get the name Ivan the Terrible.
That's what people thought about Christian Ponder, too.
Oh, kill me now. Anyways, he reformed the army and had a council made to help him with important decision-making in the government.
Later on in Ivan's reign, he began to deserve his name of Ivan the Terrible. Basically, everything he did after the death of his wife seemed cruel and evil. The first thing he did after this was to finish off all the remains of a princely rule, giving himself more and more power. He also stated that he could punish whoever he wanted, which was anyone who opposed the Tsar. So he made a branch of police that would go out and do his dirty work for him, making him even more powerful.
It got to the point where Ivan was killing off and burning whole cities because he thought that they might revolt. It was like Russia was at war with its own people for no reason other than power. This set up the Tsar total control for all the oncoming Tsars in Russia's history. Go!
So now that we're all wrapped up, you know what time it is.
It's time to draw from the pumpkin eternal spiciness.
Nate has lice. So, Nate, come here. I have something to tell you. Don't tell anyone else this, but, I have lice.
Oh, wait, I have lice too, and my lice would whoop your lice.
Oh. Well, we're good then.
No, because now you have my lice.
Oh.
Here, let me scratch that for you. Oh, why my head is... Dude.
I actually have lice, Dave.